Hi y'all, so today we're going to start our third project in our book 3 Coding for Kids using App Inventor. Okay. So it's on page 77 called Smart Drums. So the idea, I want to play the drums on my phone. The drums are formed by cymbals, drums, and a bass drum. Maybe not all of it fits in a screen, so we'll have to choose only a few elements. So the game. The screen will show 5 drum elements and 2 rhythms that will be the base for your musical inventions. Clicking on each element, you'll hear its sound and the background of the clicked element will change. You can turn on the rhythms by clicking on bass 1 or bass 2, and you'll need to be able to change the volume. So we see on the screen the components. There's going to be a cymbal, a drums, and a bass drum. And then there's also going to be bass rhythms where you could change the volume of. So I think we'll have to code for that. So whenever we press a drum, it'll make a sound. And then also if you press the bass, it'll keep on making the sound until you turn it off. So what you'll learn. Use images instead of buttons, having them change as they are clicked. 2 different ways to insert sounds. How to use different buttons. Buttons, images, and sliders. You'll need some image files and sounds. You find them in the archive in the support site. So we'll need all of these images and all of these sounds. So let's look in our file. So downloads. Gonna look at the zip file. I'm also gonna put it in the Google Drive later. So smart drums. And all of these we'll need. So I'm just gonna select all. And I'm gonna move it to downloads. So I can easier access. Okay. Design. Drum 1, drum 2, drum 3, drum 4, drum 5. Bass button 1, bass button 2. Label volume basses. Slider bass 1, slider bass 2. Okay, so let's start a new project. This is called Smart Drums. Right, reload. Okay. I just had to log back in. Create a new one. Smart Drums. There we go. So the grid is part of the non-visible elements. So I need, let's make myself smaller. So we'll need the layout, table arrangement. And on the properties of the table arrangement, we need 1 column and 4 rows. On the first row, the top one, you'll need to place another table. This is because you need to place the elements of the drum in a 2 by 2 square. So let's drag another table arrangement, put it inside, so on the top. There we go. And there's already 2 columns and 2 rows, so we don't need to modify anything. Okay, so let the drums in. So it's time to place some images and a bit of color. Start from the drum elements, cymbals, 3 drums, and the bass drum. Be careful, these aren't just simple images. They are buttons disguised as images. They'll have to make a sound when you press them, like a doorbell. So choose a button from the interface components. User interface. So if you look here, there's four cells, and then there's 3 cells. This is because this one has 2 columns and 2 rows, right? And this one has 1 column and 4 rows. Button 1. So what about the images? You can associate an image to a button element. You have 2 ways to do so. So the first way is in Properties, go to Image and press Upload. So let's do that first. Image, Upload, choose File. So these are the pictures we uploaded. So let's do drum 1 off. Wow. So we also need to remove the text. Now let's rename this. To button drum 1. And we need to do this for the rest of the components, for the rest of the drums. Let's look at the second way. So the second way is to go to Media, so right here, press Upload, choose a file. So let's choose our second drum off. Okay. Then let's go make another button for the second cell. And for this image, the option's already there. It's because we uploaded it there. So then let's press OK. Delete the text. We gotta rename it. Button drum 2. Now I have to do this for the rest of the 4 drums. Another button. Delete the text. Rename it. Button drum 3. Okay, now that we have all the drums, we need the bass drum. So it's the 5th button, and we need to put it on the bottom. So let's drag right here. So let's upload the image. It's called drum 5 off. The reason why we uploaded them as images is because when we press them, they'll change. You noticed, like in our file, there's a drum 3 off and there's a drum 3 on. So when we press it, it's going to be on. If you notice, the colors change to purple and it's like, then you can see it's on, right? When it makes the sound. That's fun. If you only do a button, it won't change colors. That's why we needed to associate images with it. Turn that off, delete the text, and rename. Button drum 5. So in the project, there are throw bases. So basically bases like background rhythms for you to choose from. For this one, you'll need 3 visible elements and 2 hidden ones. So the visible ones are the buttons to select the base. So there's base 1, base 2, and you can select which one you want. A label that says volume, and then a slider to control the volume. And then we also need a horizontal arrangement and a player component. So let's start by doing the horizontal arrangement. Right there. And then we have to choose center for a line horizontal and center for a line vertical. And now we need buttons. And let's call this base 1. Let's make it bold. And let's call this button base 1. And now we need a label, the volume label. Oops. Let's do the text color. There's the text color. Right here. Let's make it white. Okay, and this also needs to be bolded. And last, we needed a slider. So we need the slider component. So it's right here. Also in user interface. Where did my volume go? Okay, it's right here. Let's rename this. Volume. Remember we made it white. I forgot to put the slider. Okay, yeah. I didn't put the slider in the horizontal arrangement. That's why it looked weird. So change the max value to 100. Mean value to 0. So minimum, maximum. And thumb position, place 50. Let's rename this to slider base 1. There we go. And finally, we need to drag the player component. So it's in media, and it's going to make the music, the sounds. So player anywhere, doesn't matter. So it's going to be looped. My source is going to be from our files. It's going to be base 1. Now let's rename this to base 1. And let's do the same thing for the second one. We need another horizontal arrangement. Is there any way to make this phone bigger? I guess not. And now we need a button. So we know that the button's in the second horizontal arrangement. So now we need to rename this to button base 2. Font bold. Base 2. Also, it's horizontal arrangement. We also need the same properties. So align center. Okay. Let's go back to the button base 2. Think we got everything? But we have to add a volume label. Okay, so now let's call this volume 2. Bold volume. And then we need our sliders. If you notice there's a thin blue line, so that means I'm putting it in the second horizontal arrangement. Max value 100, minimum value 0, on position 50. And let's rename this to slider base 2. Okay. Oh, and then we need to put another player, this time for base 2. Rename this to base 2. Source. Base 2. And now let's loop it. Okay, drum sounds. The drum sounds are the other non-visible elements. You'll hear them well. You need to drag the sound component as you did for player. Rename sound 1 to drum 1. So here's sound. Doesn't matter where you put it. The source is going to be drum 1. and rename this to drum 1. Another sound for drum 2. Another sound for drum 3. Gotta put the right sound to each sound component. Drum 4. And then drum 5, the bass drum. That's all of our drums, right? Drum 5. Okay. So there's a test, but let's keep on going. So under components, let's click on screen 1. So now we have to line horizontally to the center. And for the background color, let's do a custom one. And we enter the number 002,874. That's a dark blue color. Did it work? Oh, you pressed done. Okay. And then down on the list, you'll find the property title. They're going to be the name. So let's title for this smart drone. Okay. Right now, when you press the button, nothing happens because we didn't associate the sounds to the buttons yet. And that's where the coding comes in. So we designed everything looks pretty and useful. Now we need to actually make sure it functions. So let's go to the coding phase. So coding, click and play. Let's begin with the first drum button. When you click on the button, the images need to change and the corresponding sound needs to play. At the end, the image should go back to the original one with the blue background. In the media area, upload the on images of the 5 buttons. Let's go to the media. Here. So the on images look different. They're purple and orange and things are colorful. Let's just all 5. Okie dokie. I'll get that one. Now let's do for each we need when this button is pressed, let's make the sound. So here are our buttons, right? Let's do button 1. So when this is touched down, so when our fingers hold it down, we gotta set the image to on. So text is how we change between images. And we gotta name it exactly as the file is called. So drum1on.png. And then let's call drum1 to play. Here's our sounds. Drum1, play. There we go. We have all the sounds. So now let's copy this and do it for 5. So I'm going to duplicate this. And let's do this for drum 2. We just got to change everything. So set drum 2 to drum2.on. Drum2 on PNG. Let's call drum2 to play. Do it for 3. The reason why it shows up as an error message, this little red mark, is because there's 2 of them. So they're confused. It's like when both of these are touched down, what happens? You can't do both. Only when now it has to be 1. So it's only when this drum 1 button is pressed down, this happens. Can't have 2 of the same code. So let's change this to 4, and then the error message goes away. So the error messages are really helpful because it tells you what you need to fix, so then you can quickly fix your code. Especially when you guys start coding on your own, you will definitely run into error messages. That's just coding, but it's cool. You can fix it. 5. Okay, we have all the drums. Now we need to add the basses. Each button needs to start its bass or stop if it's already playing. So when we press it, the slider button regulates the volume based on the position. So when the button for the bass one is clicked, it starts, right? So we have to find the button right here. And then we need a if then else, if then else. So if it's already playing, then we gotta stop. But if it isn't playing, then we gotta start, right? It's like an on and off button. So if bass one is playing. Right here. It's already playing, then we gotta stop. So set the color to gray, so it's going to be gray when it's turned off and orange when it's turned on. Where's the background color? Colors to gray, and then call this sound to stop. Tell the sound to stop. And then if it's not already playing, then we got to turn it on. So button base 1, set the background color to orange. And let's call the sound to start. There we go. And we also we have to duplicate this for base 2. So base 2. Base 2 is playing. We gotta set base 2 to gray. Call base 2 to stop. Got to change all of this to base 2. Okay, now let's start coding for adjusting the volume. So using the sliders, we can regulate the base volume. So when the slider position, so slider 1, when the position is changed, so when we're moving with our finger, we got to set the base 1 volume, base 1 volume, and then get the thumb position. So wherever the base 1 volume, wherever it's moved to. Let's copy and paste it also for base 2. Okay. Now the only thing is missing is we need to assign it the icon. Let's go back to designer, icon. That's what we're going to see on our phones when we play. Let's save this, very important. Okay, we're ready to talk. So we go to build, get the QR code. Now it's compiling, so it's wrapping everything up. Okay, so here's my QR code. Remember to scan your own QR code, clear out. Remember, we need to download it, install it, install anyways, because we're the developer. Let's open it. So here's my app. Okay, don't send it for scanning. Here's my app. Look how we made all of the background our custom shade of dark blue. And oh, my volume. My second volume forgot to change the text to white. Let's do okay. See if we could change it right now. Let's do save. Whoa, did you just see that? Ooh, I'm like a drummer now. Okay, let's check out these basses. Wow. Okay, here's bass 2. Wow, this is so cool. So we made the app, and we also could think of what we can also do with it, like what we could change. Maybe instead of drums, we could do singing monsters, like singing people with different voices, and the basses, instead of bass drums or bass rhythms, it could be music. So we could do people singing like a chorus. What else can we do? Just a bunch of people, and when you click them, they do different things. They could say different things. That'd be cool. Like maybe if there could be like 4 people with different languages, and we press them, they all say something in their own language. That'd be really cool. So think of the possibilities you can also do with your own app and any of the projects we made before, and be creative. So good luck on your project.